First, I just want to say good evening and thank you for attending the Housing and Community Development Department's 2024 Fall Community Meeting. If you need a Spanish interpreter, we have interpreters available to assist. Please raise your hand at this time if assistance is needed. We have Laura Gonzalez and Maria Elena Sadi. Okay. Let's get started. I would like to introduce the City of Houston's Housing and Community Development Director, Mr. Mike Nichols.
Thank you, Audrey. I appreciate that. Just so I will not forget, we have a very, very important guest here tonight. Hopefully you know Councilman Willie Davis. Councilman Davis. I want to make sure you know about Councilman Davis. He is the vice chair of a very important housing committee. And he is there every time we meet. He does the right thing. He's a great leader. And one of the things that folks need to know is nothing happens in affordable housing without the housing committee. Nothing happens at the housing committee without Councilman Willie Davis. So you're a real hero. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the 2024 Fall 2024 Community Meeting. This is our second meeting. Our first was virtual. And those who know me know I like in-person meetings. Thank you for coming out in the dark. God, it got dark in the last 2 weeks, didn't it?
Yeah.
But thank you very much. The purpose of the meeting, there are a couple of things. First of all, I want to say about the Department of Housing and Community Development. What is our purpose? And our mission is to make investments that serve Houstonians' housing and community needs and build a more equitable city by creating safe, resilient homes and vibrant, healthy communities where residents can live and thrive. I love that mission, and I feel it's a worthwhile thing for us to work on. The staff members here care so much about that mission. And I want to say before I forget too, thank you to our staff who makes this happen, not just being here tonight, which I appreciate, but they make the work happen. They're the ones who get the dollars out the door, and the houses built properly, and the development's done, and the services provided. It's an amazing, amazing group. We're here today to gather your input in the community, so this is the time you speak up into our 5-year strategic plan. The plans are the consolidated plan and the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. So those are two important things we're involved in the committee, to have a plan to make sure we get the right kind of affordable housing at the right way in the right places, and then we make sure we don't have any impediments to fair housing choice. We're gathering information about the community needs and barriers to fair housing choice to help develop these goals and strategies, to spend about $250 million over the next 5 years. And that will be spent on affordable housing and community development over those years. The information gathered here today, and that's why we have our staff, will directly inform our strategic plans. Ultimately, our goal is to hear from you about how we can improve the lives of Houstonians. When we say Houstonians, we mean all Houstonians, not just a certain group in a certain area, in a certain income. We're talking about all Houstonians, from the most vulnerable to everybody else. We can improve the lives of all Houstonians, but you tonight are critical to us in helping us understand those needs of Houstonians. So please stay engaged. You have opportunities to make statements, to ask questions. So your input during the public hearing segment and in those discussion groups are very, very important because that's the way we can hear from you. Again, I'm excited to see all these attendees, and I want to thank you for participating in today's meeting. We are all looking forward to hearing directly from you. So Andrea Warren, you're back on top.
Okay. You're okay. Okay. Thank you, Director Nichols. My name is Andrea Warren. I'm an administrative coordinator with the Planning and Grant Reporting Division. And I'm excited to be with you all today to talk about the development of our strategic planning documents, the 2025-29 Consolidated Plan and the 2025 Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice. Today, you will also hear from the Deputy Director of our department, Derek Sellers, who will moderate the public comment segment of this meeting. A recording of our virtual meeting from last week will be available on our website at houstontx.gov/housing. Additionally, the presentation slides are available on our public hearing webpage, houstontx.gov/housing/public hearing. Okay, let's cover the agenda. First, we will provide you with a summary of our department, our plans, and our grant process. Then we will discuss our programs and recent accomplishments. After the presentation portion of the meeting, we will have our group breakout activity where you will be placed in breakout groups for a brief discussion. Thereafter, we will have our public comment segment where you as the participant will be able to make comments about our presentation or what you would like to see in the future. And then we will end the evening with a few final remarks and announcements. Okay, raise your hand if you have ever attended a meeting hosted by the Housing and Community Development Department. A couple people maybe, okay. Glad to see a couple of hands out there. Okay, great. Well, for those of you for those of you who have not, our meetings provide an opportunity for residents and stakeholders to work collaboratively with our department to plan for the future of your community. So let's dive into the first part of the presentation. At the City of Houston's Housing and Community Development Department, we envision a city where everyone has a home they can afford in a community where they can thrive. We achieve this vision through providing affordable homes, making public facility improvements, funding partners to provide community development, and supporting organizations that deliver services for low and moderate income persons. Our plans will help shape how we will assist low and moderate income residents and how we will spend our funding over the next 5 years. Let's take an up-close look at these plans. So why are we here today? We are preparing our 5-year strategic planning documents called the Consolidated Plan and the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice. We utilize data and input from residents and stakeholders like you to help develop these plans. To receive the $50 million each year in entitlement funding, we are required to prepare the Consolidated Plan every 5 years, and we create the Fair Housing Plan or the AI along with it. Let's break down these plans. Let's start with the Consolidated Plan. The Consolidated Plan, is the strategic plan that determines how we will spend our $250 million of entitlement funding over the next 5 years to benefit low and moderate income Houstonians. In the Consolidated Plan, we identify housing and community development needs in Houston, and then we determine the strategies and goals the city will undertake to address those needs. Not currently shown on the slide, but related to our Consolidated Plan is our annual action plan, which we submit each year, and it details exactly how we will spend our annual entitlement funding in the upcoming year. The second plan is the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, or the AI. In this plan, we analyze fair housing barriers that prevent certain types of people, protected classes, from attaining housing. In AI, we analyze demographics, policies, procedures, and consider public input and feedback to determine the barriers of fair housing choice. And finally, we identify actions that can help reduce housing discrimination and promote integration. Today, we are gathering information for our 5-year planning documents. Let's take a look at our grant cycle and our 4 entitlement grants on the next 2 slides. Residents and stakeholders are at the center of everything we do. This graphic illustrates our grant process. As we've just covered, starting at the top of the screen, the consolidated plan, we determine community needs, set priorities for the next 5 years, determine the resources that we have, and then set the goals for spending our entitlement funds over the next 5 years. That's our consolidated planning process. Then each year we set our goals in the annual action plan, starting at the bottom, and then administer the programs during the year. And finally, we evaluate our performance after each year is complete through our consolidated annual performance evaluation report, or better known as the CAPER. As you can see, citizen participation is at the center of our grant process, and we collect input and feedback from Houstonians at each part of the process. This slide displays our annual allocation for this year. We are estimated to receive approximately $250 million in federal entitlement grants that will be available over the next 5 years to improve Houston's neighborhoods and quality of life for low to moderate income families. These federal grants include the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investments Partnerships Grant, Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV and AIDS, our HOPWA grant, and our Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG. The Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, are the most flexible of our funding and can be used to support a wide variety of activities. With CDBG funds, we repair homes, expand home ownership, provide public services, and improve public facilities. With the Home Investments Partnerships Grant, or HOME funds, we build or rehabilitate affordable homes for renters and homeowners. With the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, or the HOPWA grant, we provide housing and social services for people with HIV and AIDS and their families. And the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG funds, we deliver shelter and supportive services for people experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. Let's review how we will put our plans into action and evaluate our performance at the end of each year. Let's start with the annual action plan. To receive the grants we just discussed, CDBG, HOME, HOPWA, and ESG, HUD requires that we submit an annual action plan every year that outlines the actions we plan to take to serve the community. More specifically, the 2025 Annual Action Plan will outline the community's needs, budget priorities, local and federal resources, and proposed activities for the upcoming program year. We anticipate receiving the same funding amounts as this year, but we won't know the exact amounts until HUD announces the actual amounts in spring 2025. Moving on, let's discuss the CAPER. The CAPER is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. At the end of each year, we evaluate the goals set by the annual action plan and review our performance. Additionally, the CAPER details our expenditures from the past year and if there were any challenges in meeting our goals. So what does our timeline look like for submitting these plans? Let's take a look at that. The timeline specifically details the development of our strategic plans. We have begun to gather community needs and information, which we will continue to do through the end of this year. We are gathering information through our community needs survey, which I'm going to explain to you a little bit later, right? Through our community meetings like this one and focus groups. In January and February, we'll use the input and data gathered to finalize goals and strategies and write our plans. We will then come back to the community in March and April with our draft plans and host our spring community meetings, which will allow stakeholders and residents again to comment and give feedback on our draft plans. And lastly, in May 2025, we finalize and submit the consolidated plan and the annual action plan. That's right, we got it done, yes. The work that we have done in the past and are planning for in the future will assist residents and help fulfill our vision for all Houstonians, right? Let's take a look at our goals and activities and accomplishments. Our 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan includes 9 goals. We preserve and expand the supply of affordable housing, expand home ownership opportunities, and assist persons affected by HIV and AIDS. We also reduce homelessness, improve quality of life, revitalize communities, promote health and safety, foster community economic development, and promote fair housing. We strive to meet one or more of these goals through the activities and services that we provide. We will be updating these goals as a part of our 2025 through 2029 consolidated plan. In the next slides, we will highlight the accomplishments from the past 4 years. Home ownership. We are working to expand home ownership opportunities for Houstonians. The City of Houston's Home Buyer Assistance Program provides financial assistance of up to $50,000 to low and moderate income first-time home buyers desiring to purchase a home within Houston. We have provided 105 families with financial assistance to achieve their dreams of being homeowners over the past 4 years. Also, the City of Houston continues to partner with several nonprofit organizations that are designated, community housing development organizations are also referred to as CHODOs, to build new homes for purchase by low and moderate income families. Let's cover home repair. The home repair program evaluates damaged homes and helps make repairs needed or reconstruct a home to protect a homeowner's life, health, and safety. We accomplished repairing 95 single-family homes for low and moderate income people over the past 4 years. Moving on to multifamily rehab and construction. Another way we achieve our goal of preserving and expanding affordable housing is through our multifamily housing activities. We help build or rehabilitate multifamily rental homes across the city for low and moderate income families. We solicit proposals, select developments that will expand or rehabilitate affordable rental homes. We have rehabilitated and constructed close to 300 rental homes with this program over the past 4 years with the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Investment Partnerships Grant funds. Okay. In addition to housing activities, we also fund the improvement or development of public facilities to revitalize communities. We solicit proposals and select projects that will help enhance and improve neighborhoods, serve underserved populations, and also improve the quality of life for Houstonians. We have completed 4 public facilities with CDBG funds over the past 4 years. This includes a new community facility for Bearing Omega, a nonprofit organization which serves persons with HIV and AIDS, and the Avenue Center, which offers support services like after-school programs and financial literacy classes. The Housing and Community Development Department also provides financial support to nonprofits as well as other city departments that provide essential services to residents of Houston. These services include health care, child care, job training, legal services, rental assistance, and more. We also provide services to prevent homelessness and provide funding for housing services for persons and families impacted by HIV and AIDS. Shown on the screen are a few examples of nonprofit organizations and other city departments that we partner with to provide these public services. Through our continued partnerships with organizations, we have accomplished the following over the past 4 years. We assisted 2,300 people with homeless prevention. We assisted 5,300 families with rental assistance and rehousing. We supported 98,000 people with job training, childcare, enrichment, or other services. And lastly, we aided 14,000 families with HOPWA services and housing assistance. Now that you've heard our accomplishments for the last 4 years, we would like to hear your thoughts on what our priorities should be for the next 5 years. Let's begin with our breakout group activity. If you are sitting at a table, you will have an HCD team member join your table to facilitate a discussion. Okay, so if my facilitators and note takers could make their way to their tables and find their partners, and we will now start our breakout activity. Okay, now we want to hear from you. This next segment is about you. Each group will get an opportunity to share what they have discussed. Please provide us with a summary of your answers to answer the questions we provided to your facilitators. We will go around the room and every group will get a chance to share. If you need a point of reference to stay on track, we've provided some guidance on the slide. So I will go around from each table. Facilitators, you can either report out or you can elect a group member. Try to keep it brief, but definitely touch on the high points, okay? So we can start with Jasmine, Jared, and Jasmine. Okay.
All right, I'll try not to blow out your eardrums. So for housing, for our community needs, affordability was our number one, as well as some supportive housing, more housing in general, more apartments for those that below 30% AMI, and then immediate funding guides, disasters. For social services, assistance programs for home buyers and assistance with finding affordable housing, as well as respite care. Public facilities, there was an emphasis on more walkability with sidewalks and the green space, and then having a consistent emergency shelter that also can operate pre and post disaster. You want us to go on to barrier, like the whole thing?
Yeah, if you can just do a summary, maybe
Okay.
your top barrier, maybe your
Okay.
top strategy.
All right, barriers for housing, public support for leaders, social services. That we talked about the technology barrier and how people deal with that. Public services, public facilities. The need for residents buy-in on the need for the improvements and availability of funding, and then for strategies for housing, more federal funds and more local control over that. Social services really pushed through the whole thing. The group wanted to expand Medicaid, have the Medicaid expansion, and then for public facilities, more outreach to communicate the need, and then if we could, remove the city's revenue cap.
Thank you. Here, Yolanda. Miss Yolanda. She was raising her hand.
Good evening, everyone. So for our group, for housing, we talked at community needs is diversifying housing typologies such as micro homes to address the support needs of seniors, home affordability and sustainability, rehabbing current existing properties instead of trying to build everything from the ground up. Affordable homes with long-term affordability for people under 60% AMI, improvements for seniors, more ADA compliance and making sure that homes are accessible for everyone. For community needs for social services, we talked about, transportation and access to facilities and resources. Things like targeting different demographics such as people suffering from domestic violence or engaging with youth, more after-school programs to be able to support the community in that way, and for community needs for infrastructure, more drainage, better draining, especially when we're building homes, when the city is building homes and properties, making sure that the drainage is proper for the neighborhood, maintenance on the parks and making sure that we're keeping them up because they are a community asset. For barriers and roadblocks when it comes to housing, more visibility and breaking down the numbers to more granular, so we know that if we have a certain number of units that are being produced every year, what does the breakdown of those units look like? How many AMIs? How many net total? Are we gaining? Are we losing? Are we losing units over the years so we can have a total number and we can actually see growth? Be able to barriers to housing is how we spend it, making sure we're spending money effectively and efficiently. When we're talking about barriers, creating systems so that local contractors are being utilized because they have more of a commitment to the community. So lessen our out-of-state GCs, boost inner-city procurement of contractors, as I mentioned, making sure that vouchers and other down payment assistance aligns with the actual housing that we have. There's no need to have assistance if the assistance does not result in you being able to access the housing that we're producing, whether that be rental vouchers or down payment assistance. Barriers to social services. A lot of felons are denied social services, so how do we create systems that support them in their transition back into society? Making sure that seniors are being supported. We have sometimes literacy challenges with our senior citizens, so making sure that we're being able to meet those needs. Streamlining processes so that people do not get discouraged when trying to access resources. That's a major barrier and roadblock to people accessing. And outreach. How do we get to people? So making sure we're meeting people where they are. Things like this is very helpful, but you need to advertise in places like this. Don't just advertise through an email because everybody's not on the email list. But your community is in church. Your community is here at the resource centers here, multi-service centers. Put your flyers and advertisements in places where they can be accessed. So that eliminates the barriers to outreach with infrastructures and facilities, retrofitting buildings and parks and community centers to make sure they're ADA compliant. Strategies and action for housing, a comprehensive housing plan so when money comes in, we actually have an effective plan to spend the money. More maintain affordability through all types of housing, so not just get people in a home, keep them in a home. Don't just have rentals that are affordable. Make sure they're affordable long-term for the length of the actual affordability period and not just for a portion of it. Make sure that calculations can match the assistance that goes along with the housing created. Social service strategies. Again, as I mentioned, kind of the outreach and targeting seniors because they seem to have the most challenge in accessing resources. And lastly, for infrastructure and strategies, broadband, making sure that communities that we're developing, we were notified that in multifamily that's pretty common, but any other type of housing, making sure that it's easily accessible for people to have broadband internet, and holding developers for common spaces such as parks, community centers, holding those developers accountable for the infrastructure, making sure they're getting ADA compliance and they're upholding like drainage and things like that, and make sure they're meeting the needs of the community, even if it's not required. We should still be holding them accountable to do it.
Okay, so for our group, when it comes to community needs, we went for housing, lowering the cost of living, housing and rent based on income, shelters for the homeless, building more shelters, a rehab of existing apartment units, and open areas for people to safely sleep in. Some social service programs that our community needs, after school programs for children and college students, less discrimination or barriers, eliminate barriers for jobs, paid apprenticeships, for example, childcare services, transportation, public facilities and infrastructure, more parks, open, natural public areas, and parks that are easy to access, and have drinking water and restroom facilities, making more public restrooms without restrictions in the community. some barriers, wait list for housing and eligibility requirements for housing, other barriers for social services, making more places available for meals, for showering, doing laundry, less age barriers or more assistance for those individuals that maybe are under 18. See more assistance for homeless youth. Business hours, agencies are usually not open after regular working hours, so most people cannot access them and access their services. And then also sometimes a United Way line is not as helpful as it should be. Maybe it takes too long, or some people, if they're just not focusing on the actual, people want more client-based, I guess, assistance, if you will. A needs-based assistance, sorry. So that is a barrier. For parks, public facilities, park hours, parks need to be renovated and possibly made more secure for people who are actually sleeping there overnight. Strategies for housing, build more open areas where people can seek shelter, and allowing homeless people to sleep at parks while close to the public. 24-hour shelters, possibly rotating schedule for more people can access the shelters, open area encampments, other credit repair programs for people to access housing, help improve their credit, financial education programs and workshops for them to educate them on fair housing rights, and educate people on how to live and afford to stay in their apartment.
Okay. So we went through the needs, and for housing, we had lease to purchase for homes. We also had just making it affordable for the working class. We also had down payment assistance. There usually is like a gap, so people will just make just over the limit, and then they won't be able to qualify for any help, so kind of bridging that. And energy efficiency, so weatherization of homes, the insulation, roofs, making the homes more energy efficient, and then counseling. So how to get to a space where you are ready to buy a home, whether that includes credit repair or just the programs beforehand, so there's more consistency and they can work with someone. Yeah, and then for social services, we had mentorship. So we had mentorship for those that are between the ages of 13 and 18. We also had mentorship in terms of financial literacy for youth and after-school programs. We also talked about social service needs for seniors and mental health programs, that there's a major need for that, and skills education. And we also talked about nutrition need for kids and adults, and getting classes on that so they know, kind of how to make healthy meals and how to sustain themselves throughout the day. And then for facilities and infrastructure, we were talking about just having community centers for children that are safe and that have technology so they can use that after school. We also were talking about reduce energy, water, and waste for facilities and infrastructure to make them more energy efficient. And then we also talked about having health clinics that would be closer into communities, and the digital infrastructure possibilities. So we only got through the needs.
No, that's fine. Sometimes those needs outweigh everything. So there is no right or wrong answer, you guys. So all of the information that you share with us will definitely be used in our plan. So thank you again. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. So I want to just thank you again for participating in our breakout group activity. At this time, we will begin, our public comment segment. You can voice your thoughts and your opinions on today's presentation or your community needs and wants. But before we get started, let's go over ways to comment and on our ground rules. I will now turn it over to Deputy Director Sellers to go over and to conduct the public hearing segment.
All right. So we're going to move into the public hearing portion of the evening. When everybody came in the door on this table over here, everybody received a copy of this form, community meetings at the top, and it has our agenda on it. If you flip it over to the back, you'll see some general guidelines and some more information about how we're going to run the public hearing portion of the evening. So there are a couple of things that I want to point out, just the general rules. Each speaker that wants to speak tonight, and we definitely want to hear from you, will be given 3 minutes to provide their testimony. This is not a Q&A session, but it's an opportunity for you to provide comments to us about your concerns, your needs, recommendations that you have related to the materials that we covered this evening or what we should be focusing on over the next 5 years. People will be called in the order. I'll call your name. When you signed in, you got to indicate whether you wanted to speak or not. I've got a list of a few names there. After we go through those names, we'll ask a general call if there's anybody else that wants to speak. When I call your name, Carrie is going to bring you the mic and allow you to start speaking. We'll have a countdown on here for your 3 minutes so you kind of know where you're at in that. So start off by saying your name and then your comment time will start. Yielding time to another person is not allowed. This is purely about your comment. If you represent an organization and you want to mention that, please feel free to do so. And just for your awareness, we will be recording and transcribing your commentary as part of this planning process. We'll be providing summaries of these comments in our documents when we submit them to HUD as well as some responses to it. So at this time, I'm going to start the call for names. There we go. So first up, Mara Elena Bossets. Mara Elena, I'm going to raise your hand. You're still here? Okay. Next up, Evelyn Barron. Evelyn. All right, it's going to be a fast process. Paula Kubina. So we'll have Carrie bring it together. Make it easy for you.
Hello, my name is Miss Paula Covina, and thank you for this opportunity. And I'm glad I heard about this meeting and all of that. I am a caregiver for a Vietnam War veteran whose home burned down in 2022. At that time, he did not have home insurance, homeowners insurance, and so since that time, we first started living in the Airbnb, and now we're paying rent at an apartment. And I hope to be able to speak this evening with this gentleman here about retrofit and other things that we can do to help get his home back going. I have a letter as well that I hope to leave with someone that tells our situation much better as well. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it. Next up, I've got Jimmy Trin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Jimmy Trin. I come from an entrepreneurial background of 22 years from engineering, real estate, and food. I'm a certified culinary chef. My recommendation, what I'm involved in right now is sustainability, in building sustainable cities and sustainable communities. And it first starts off with housing. We have been very involved in 3D printing technology. We have a great connection to one of the pioneers in the space that has built 100 home communities in 3D printing technology in Austin. We also have another relationship in infrastructure from Peru, and he's made his footprint here in the Houston area. As far as social services, I see the need for mental health programs as well as nutrition and skills education. I think those are really prevalent need in the Houston area. And having gone through each experience, we could really lend a help to the community and contribute in a really fast way with the advanced technologies that we have. So please, we really hope to partner with the City of Houston to really expand and accelerate sustainable communities. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. So those were the only ones that indicated when they came in the door that they would like to speak. Is there anyone else that would like to provide their testimony this evening? If so, just raise your hand and we'll have Carrie bring you the mic. Going once, twice. All right, so that's going to wrap up our public hearing portion of the evening. Something that was noted earlier that I always like to reiterate, we'll be doing public hearings again in the spring. And we'll provide information about when those come along. There'll be a lot more specifics about our plans for that budget for that year, kind of how this wrapped into that. And this is my invitation to y'all to come join us at those public hearings. We do one virtually, we do one in person. So either format, if one of those works for you, please engage with us on that. But maybe some of the conversations tonight at your tables is going to, as you drive home, kind of get with you a little bit. So we have our website. Come, check out our website and what we do. There's opportunities to connect with us that way. But if not, come see us in the spring, and hopefully we get some more commentary out of you. And you'll see some of the results of what we talked about here tonight. At this point, we'll turn it over to Andrea to go into the next part of the presentation.
You guys are not slick. I think y'all just wanted to get to this drawing for the prize. Is that what's going on? Y'all just wanted to get to the drawing? That's what we're about to do next. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to drop their tickets in?
No.
For the drawing? Okay. Going once. Let's get our tickets in. Have to do my Vanna White. So before we move on, I'm going to wrap up everything and then we're going to do the drawing. This concludes the public comment segment of the meeting. Thank you for your comments and concerns. And we will now have Director Nichols to come up for final remarks. Okay.
You know how smart Andrea is because she didn't do the drawing before me. So it keeps everybody here, but she's smart. Again, I want to thank y'all for being here tonight, to adding your voices to this really important problem. We finished an election, and one of the things you saw was everybody agreed we needed more affordable housing. So one of the things I urge you to do is to keep pressure on our elected officials for affordable housing. Don't let them forget that this was a campaign promise that they made. And we have to just keep that pressure on because, again, it's been a long time since more federal funding was put into housing. And it's continued to drop over the decade. So this is a time to put that pressure on them. Doesn't matter if they got elected, then they need to be thinking about affordable housing. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for getting to know what this department does. And last, there was some statements made about the needs of individuals. Sometimes it's frustrating for those of us who work in city government to go try to fix an individual's need. But I think one of the things we're good at is getting those issues to the right organizations. So we will continue to work through that. And if you hear somebody say that that's beyond our capability, say, is there another organization to whom you can direct me? I think that's something that all of us can do at every level of this organization, at every level of this room. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being true Houstonians with an eye toward the future.
Okay, I have just a few brief announcements. As I explained before, we would appreciate your participation in our survey. This survey is designed to take an even bigger dive into the issues or concerns of your community. You can take our survey by simply using the QR code on the screen or visiting the webpage listed on the slide. We also encourage you to share the survey with your family, your friends, and your neighbors. If you visit our webpage, you can access the QR code and this survey flyer. We also have flyers at the front where you can access it as well. Please keep in mind, by participating in our survey, you can be entered to win a $100 gift card. Okay? Next, let's continue to get involved. We encourage your participation by requesting a mobile meeting. This presents an opportunity to schedule me to do a short presentation at your next discussion group or your next community meeting. Just like today, I would love to present to your group. My information is listed on the screen. Next, connect with HCB for more information or simply just to stay in touch. I've listed our address, our phone number, and our website, which has an option to sign up for email updates. So a lot of you talked about visibility. You can stay up to date by visiting our website and the tools that I'm giving you now. Also, we all love social media, right? Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube. We update that all the time. So please stay connected with us. And so I just want to say thank you for participating and thank everyone for coming out. I think we've already done Director Nichols, so I will conclude the presentation. Thank you for your attendance and participation. But before you leave, we're going to do the drawing. So I'm going to draw. There are 3 gift cards here, and so you can only win once. Let's see. So ticket 3206208. 3206208. All right. You choose. You didn't claim it, absolutely. Okay, cool, thank you. Again. The next number is 3206300. 3206300. All right, it's a hot cake. I'm just waiting for someone to like, hey. Okay, I'm rooting for the other tables because this table is really cashing out. Okay, let me shake it up some more. 320-6312. 320-6312.
Praise the Lord. I knew there was some men, because nobody was so.
Thank you so much, guys, for participating. Don't forget to take our survey. It's $100 gift card, right? Everybody needs $100. Take our survey. We want to hear more. Thank you, and have a good night.
Praise